Hello everyone and welcome to Okami. I've been playing Okami on and off for quite some time at the request of my roommate, and although I have not really been enjoying myself, there is one segment recently that I enjoyed quite a bit, called the Labyrinth of Torment. So far, Okami has been a remarkably easy and simplistic game meant to appeal to just about everyone, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's the kind of game it wants to be. It seems to be its primary mission statement. But it has made it difficult for me to find things to enjoy in particular up until this segment, where it asks you to further explore and understand the game mechanics. It's been rather easy up until this point being the Labyrinth of Torment, to just take all of the mechanics for granted and sort of coast through. Even the combat has been fairly easy to cheese with a couple of exceptions. But here you're asked to race the evil being Toby through a variety of obstacle courses, the first of which is easy and just sets up basically what you'll be doing. The second of which is this, a platforming segment, with precision platforming, which the game does not have a lot of. I enjoyed this segment. I liked the challenge. I did not like that upon failing this segment, I found out the game has adaptive difficulty. Indeed, if you were to fall into the spikes back there, which I thankfully did not, the game would then add more platforms upon your loss, making the segment easier. This frustrated me to no end. When I fail a platforming segment, I don't want the game to make the platforming segment easier for me, I want to try again. The only way to try the same challenge again at the same difficulty was to reload my save, so that's what I did. That's immensely irritating. I wish that the game would simply ask if I wanted it to make it easier for me, because that's what most games do. My complaints aside, at least that section asks you to land precisely on platforms, even if it doesn't follow through with that demand. This section, on the other hand, is just basically about understanding Amaterasu's jump height. That said, if you fall down, you can still make it to the exit before Toby and still win this section. He just goes really slow back there for some reason. This one, on the other hand, actually sticks to its guns. You do need to understand Amaterasu's jump height, and you need to understand how quickly you can jump again after landing. There's no real way around it. You also need to learn how to keep your momentum around corners, which I failed to do and almost lost for it, but I just barely succeeded. Not sure I should have, but it let me through. But yeah, the idea behind this Labyrinth of Torment segment, that it's taking mechanics that you normally take for granted and forcing you to think about how you use them, I'm all for that. That's great stuff. I wish more of the game had that. I wish it didn't take 20 hours to get here, but at least I enjoyed this particular section. The Labyrinth of Torment is one of only 2 gameplay bits of Okami I've actually enjoyed, the other one being the sunken ship, mostly because that reminded me of a Skyward Sword dungeon. It had a lot of creative uses for the mechanics, even if it wasn't particularly challenging. I would consider most of the dungeons in Okami to be pretty unmemorable in addition to not being very challenging. But I'm always going to remember timing bombs fired out of a cannon and rolling a spiky barrel over a terrifying seaweed face. That's something the sunken ship will always have going for it. Anyway, that's basically just it. That's all I wanted to make this video for. I thought the Labyrinth of Torment stood out in Okami because usually the game isn't challenging, doesn't ask you to think very hard about its mechanics, and you can generally just breeze through it, mostly because it's trying so hard to appeal to everyone and be so approachable. I thought this was a nice change of pace, and it's important to point out the things you enjoy, not just the things you despise, even though the adaptive difficulty in this segment is something I do so very much despise. See you guys soon.